Hey there, this is Clay, and today I want to tell you 5 signs that you're about to blow it when you're contacting your ex. Okay, so there you are, sitting there at home. You've written out some great letter or email or whatever to send over to your ex, and you're getting ready to, hit the send button, lick the envelope, whatever it is, I don't know. But before you do that, you might want to stop and watch this video and see if you're about to do any of these 5 things that will actually blow your chances of restoring contact with your ex, okay? And this is by no means an exhaustive list. Like obviously you could go out there and say something like, P.S. Did you know in my spare time I'm also a serial killer? And that would absolutely blow your chances with your ex. But I'm not gonna, go over every possible way that you could blow it. But these are 5 common things that I've noticed over the years as a breakup coach, and I'd like you to at least consider these before sending a message to your ex. So the first one is that you go ahead and you list all of your changes that you've made since going into no contact or active no contact or something like that. And this is a big mistake because number one, it really just goes across like you're just trying to prove something, like you're trying to prove to your ex or convince them that you're this great person or something. And obviously, like we talked about in previous videos and the program and everything like that, you don't want to be approaching your ex in this fashion where you're just out there to like prove to them that you've changed or something like. Okay, there's this like really common meme or something like that like women kind of throw around these days. It's something like real beauty doesn't demand attention, it just like gets it or something like. And I know I'm probably butchering that, but I'm not a woman, I don't read these sorts of things, but that thing is out there. It's kind of like the same thing. Real change doesn't command that you like beat your chest and talk about it all the time. It just is what it is. Like if you made real changes, you wouldn't have to talk about them, you would just be them. So that's number 1. Don't list out all your changes. Just be your changes and it will speak for themselves. Number 2, don't make your communication, your letter, your email, whatever, all about you. Because that is just going to seem, it's just going to seem like really self-interested. Like your ex is going to get that and they're going to read it and then like, okay, cool, you're doing all this great stuff. That's cool. Okay, and then they're going to put your letter or email, whatever, aside. It has like no curiosity about them or where they're at. It doesn't like engage them in any sort of way. Because, in the marketing and sales world, they say that the sweetest word in the entire English language is the word you, or the name of the person you're talking to. And you should absolutely keep that in mind, is that you want to talk to your ex, have a sort of engaging dialogue with them, even if it's just the beginning of that dialogue. And you want to talk to them and be curious about them and their experience, what they've been up to lately, what they're doing. And you want to really engage them in that way. Okay, so that's thing number 2 that you might be about to crash and burn with your contact with your ex. Thing number 3 is that you don't have a very engaging end to your communication, your letter or whatever. And by engaging, I mean that it's something easy to respond to, okay? It's something that like really is unfinished. And maybe you ask a question of your ex, maybe you're like inquiring about how they're doing, maybe you're like hinting or alluding at something that happened or changed, or you want to leave some kind of like open loop, as they call it. And you want to be able to do this so that your communication is easy to respond to. Now you want to be careful, you don't want to ask something like really too big, because that's going to seem like a lot of effort. It's like, oh, P.S., what is the meaning of life? I've been thinking about this. I want to know what your opinion is. Oh, wow. The meaning of life, it could take a lifetime to figure out. But on the other hand, you just want to keep it something easy for them to respond to. And I'll give you an example later on. But that's thing number 3, that you might be about to blow it if the communication doesn't engage them at the end. It has some sort of like boring ending. Thing number 4 that your communication is probably not going to land very well is if it has a really boring ending. This kind of builds off of that last one, but it's really super common, and that's that you'll just end it with something like, hope you're doing well, or how are you, or just something like that. And it's, those are questions that you can absolutely mean them when you say them, and you probably do mean it when you say it. You probably do genuinely want to know how your ex is doing. But the thing is it's just that those sorts of questions are just battered around in our society so often that people just don't even take them seriously. You know, it's like you go up to the cashier at the grocery store or the barista at the coffee shop or whatever, and you're just like, hey, how you doing? They're like, oh, I'm great, how are you? And you know, it's like it just goes in one ear and out the other. They don't actually stop, and they're like, you know what? I'm actually really tired today and I don't want to go to work. They don't do that. They just like, oh yeah, fine, thanks, how are you? And you know, you don't want to have that kind of effect with your ex. You don't want to ask them one of these questions that they're just going to zone out. You want to ask them a question that will actually get their attention, and they'll be like, yeah, this is a real question. This person actually wants to know the answer. And so that's another thing that you want to definitely make sure is in your communication. And you know, if you're just throwing out some sort of like fluff question that people throw around all the time, that's your fourth sign that things are probably not going to go so well. And the last one, sign number 5, is that you are expecting some sort of response like immediately or within a day or something like that, okay? And this one's kind of a subtle one, because you know, you could do everything right with the other 4 things, but then you know, you're just like mentally, you're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to send the text message, they're going to write back with me in like 15 minutes, and we're going to have this like fun 40 conversation. Before the end of the day, we're going to be back together, and everything's going to be great. But understand that depending on where your ex is at in the phases of getting back together, we talk about this, other places inside the program, all that stuff. I'm not going to go over it at laboring detail here, but you know, there is this spectrum that your ex will sort of journey through in your quest to get back together with them. And depending on where they're at on that spectrum, they may not be in a place where they're ready to respond to you right now. You know, they might get the text message, the email, whatever, and they may be like, okay, my ex just texted me, what do I do? I don't know. Should I respond? Do I want to text this person? How do I feel about that? And they may just have to like really process that. They might have to think about it and process it, and it might take a couple days or maybe even a week or longer before they feel comfortable writing back to you, before they're like, you know what, yeah, I do kind of miss so-and-so, and you know, that this doesn't seem terribly threatening or intrusive or anything. Maybe I should just write back to them. And you know, if you mess this up, if you are expecting them to write back to you immediately, then you know, it can cause you to do all kinds of things like freak out, like send them a bunch of like weird messages like, hey, did you get that thing I sent you 30 minutes ago? Or did you get the last one I sent you 15 minutes after the one I sent you 30 minutes ago? And you know, it can just sort of like badger them and make them like, okay, this is weird, I'm just gonna ignore this. So again, those are the 5 common mistakes that I've seen people make that really indicate that they're going to blow it when they contact their ex. And a kind of an example of something that sort of incorporates everything that we talked about here. You know, and these don't have to be super long. These don't have to be long. Like, you know, I know we talked about a lot of different things here, and you might get the impression that this has to be like some like really long letter or something like that, but it really doesn't. It can be a single sentence. In fact, like a simple example of something that you might send out would be like, hey, have you ever had a Texas tequila milkshake before? And that's it. And I'm not saying you should absolutely send that out. You know, I know there's people out there that are like, oh, okay, have you ever had a Texas tequila milkshake? Yeah, and you know, I'm not saying to just copy that and send it out, because it may not work for you. You know, like we talk about in the program and on other videos and on the mentorship Q&A things, it really depends on the interaction that you have with your ex. You know, you want to leverage what you already know about them in order to create the right thing to say. So don't just go and copy down some script that you heard from me or from somebody else or something, just expect it to work. But, you know, that would be a great example of something if it made sense within the context of, you know, the relationship that I had with some other person. You know, have you ever had a Texas tequila milkshake before? And they might write back, no, I haven't. What is that? And you can talk about that. And, you know, like we talked about in other videos, you want to build up that level of rapport, and then you can like take things deeper, okay? But, you know, that would be an example of something that incorporates all these things. Number one, it's not listing all the changes that, you know, I, as the communicator, the reacher-outer, has made. Number two, it takes interest in them. Have they had this drink before? I actually don't know what a Texas tequila milkshake is, but I've heard of it. Number three, it's engaging. It's asking them a question. It's like specific to them. It's not just like a, number 4, it's not just like a, hey, how's it going, what's up, kind of thing. It's like, have you ever had a textile milk? That's not something that people ask you every day. At least I don't think, unless you're like a bartender or something. But that's something that sort of begs the question. And, obviously mindset-wise, number 5, don't expect them to write back to you right away. So that would be an example of something that you could send out. So again, check over what you're about to send your ex, see if it has any of these 5 things in it. If so, you may have to rework your communication with them before you send it out. And if you'd like more help getting back together with the person that you love, be sure to head over to relationshipinnergame.com. We help people through our email newsletter there, and we are real people. We will write back to you if you send in questions or you ask for help or anything like that. So head over to Relationship Inner Game if you're not already on the newsletter. Sign up there, and we can start helping you get back together with the person you love today. So again, this has been Clay, and thank you for